At 4 p.m. here in New York, Bailey Lipschultz, senior equities reporter, and Amy Orr, equity capital markets reporter here at Bloomberg, joining us to break down some of the individual movers on the day. Hello to both of you here. And we'll start off with the gainers because you look like you're ready to go, Bailey.
Well, some stocks trading higher, Romaine, even though not much is going on ahead of the Fed. A little bit of companies with some news. We talked yesterday after the bell about Intel, best performer in the Dow this coming after news of a partnership with Amazon. You throw in Amazon chips and AI in a headline, and you're going to get the stock to get a bid. It's a bit of kind of a headline bingo, if you will. Stock, though, up 11% over the last 3 sessions, getting a bit of positive momentum. Still one of the worst performers in the S&P 500, still down more than 50%. But it does seem like either shorts are covering their bets or people are maybe getting a bit more optimistic on the chip maker. Yeah, a big deal with that Amazon Web Services deal. Yeah, a big move there. And then also looking at a company like Hawaiian Holdings, this coming after the DOT.
That's the punch?
That's not the punch, though they fly planes. I don't know.
Okay. All right.
Do you ever fly to Hawaii?
I've never been to Hawaii.
Oh, man. Well, coming from California, it was more accessible, I guess. But DOT,
hey, you know how long that flight is from New York?
You might as well go to Europe in half the time at that point. DOT blessing, according to Bloomberg, the Alaska-Hawaiian merger this coming after months of issues.
I've never been to.
I haven't been to Alaska
I just learned yesterday, literally, that they are the only 2 states in the nation that NATO is not obliged to defend should anything happen. Did you know that?
I did not.
Alaska and Hawaii are now part of this whole agreement.
Okay, so they're on their own, is what you're saying. Okay.
I will say Alaska's...
Maybe they need to band together more.
Alaska's really far, though. I know that's kind of stating the obvious. But this coming, again, after the DOT blessing that deal. So that was at $18 a share. Hawaiian Holdings closing at $18. That $1.9 billion deal had been kind of working its way through for the last few months. One final gainer, Teladoc Health, up 12% today. This coming after Jefferies touted a return to growth for their BetterHelp web traffic. Though, Romaine, the kicker, this is after 12 consecutive months of year-over-year decline. The stock is still down more than 95% from a 2021 peak. Top 5 holder, though, Kathy Wood. So maybe that arc fall out. But again, up 12%.
I forgot about her.
No comment there. I'm not going to forecast the future if Kathy isn't. But Bailey, you're way too happy. We've got to get to Amy because there are stocks on the downside as well. Stocks that had some nice sell-offs today.
Yeah, definitely. And we started off with NVIDIA as well, because the stronger than expected retail sales is actually kind of putting pressure on the equities market. And people were expecting 50 basis point kind of decrease, but now it might be just down to 25. So people were slightly disappointed and still kind of debating between the two. So NVIDIA, it's down like 1%. And also falling 4% or so is Essentia, which is a consulting company.
Yeah, I saw the story. What's going on?
Yeah, so essentially it's telling its staff that the promotions won't come until June. So it should have come actually, and it will be coming in December. But then essentially saying like, hey, we're holding off on promotions. You won't be told until June. So this is actually quite symptomatic of all the consulting firms, right? Because if the enterprise companies are not spending as much, then they're not.
And I feel like this is kind of a story that we haven't covered as much. And I remember earlier this year there was a lot of talk about the softness in the consulting space and how that ties into corporate spending here. But I feel like we haven't done enough about that.
Well, especially if we're heading into a recession, like this is up for debate right now, right? So how much of a cut do we need? And if it really points to a recession, then that means a lot of companies are going to pull back on some of the expenditure. If they don't have to, obviously some of the areas that you have to do is AI, keeping up with times, right? But some of the other areas, then if you can cut, you can cut. If you cannot cut, well, like the retention of staff, you just tell them, hey, it's coming, but it's not so soon.
All right. Amy Orr and Bailey Lipschultz sticking with us here. Of course, a quick check on yields as we, of course, move into a big Fed decision tomorrow afternoon. Right now, 3.59. We'll just call it 3.6 right now on your 2-year yield. A similar on the 10-year yield. All yields slightly higher on the day, 2 to 4 basis points across the curve here. Meanwhile, of course, as we keep an eye on what's going on in markets with regards to that Fed decision, Bloomberg Business Week, guys, has its latest business school ranking survey. Now, well, I'll just ignore the fact that Chicago Booth School came in number 2nd, snubbed once again here. But at the top of the list, probably not much of a surprise, is Stanford.
The thing that stands out, though, Romaine, when you look at the kind of what goes into these rankings, Stanford, the difference between other schools in terms of entrepreneurship, the ranking, is kind of astounding. I guess it fits into the sense that if you go to Stanford, you're in the Silicon Valley, you kind of have access to some of the best and brightest in technology.
And then you become a tech bro and you ruin the world, right?
You make a lot of money on the way. At least we made some profits before we ended the world, you know?
But that's the thing about these rankings, right? They are based on certain metrics, and we all know that each school specializes in different things, right? So you mentioned Chicago Booth, I think there's Harvard.
Look at that, Northwestern Kellogg made the list, so we're 2-3 there.
There you go.
That's my alma mater there, and I grew up next to Chicago.
Someone needs to cut a check to Stanford, though. I just am saying, you got Booth, Kellogg, Tuck, Darden. Stanford's just Stanford.
So what are you? You're like a Syracuse guy, right?
Some call it the Stanford of Central New York, but...
Amy, do you call that the Stanford of Central New York?
Well, especially when Bailey is there, I wouldn't comment on it. But it's very interesting to actually see where the graduates go, because the top of the list is going into consultancy, which is actually experiencing a pullback. And also, just to highlight this, obviously, like almost 4,000 people actually went into consulting. Out of the graduates, 212 went into media and entertainment.
I saw that. I saw that. It is apparently a good place to ride out a recession, though, business school.
All right, well, there you go. Definitely check out the latest rankings, business school rankings. Stanford, University of Chicago, Booth, Northwestern Kellogg, Dartmouth, and Virginia's Darden rounding out the top 5. Our thanks to Bailey Lipschultz. Our thanks to Amy Orr.